Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Ryan O'Neill.
Two guests this morning, and they're both live on our Newsmaker line. In segment one, it'll be Democrat candidate Barbara Baer, Democrat candidate for the State Assembly, and Barbara's opponent in segment two, Republican Marjorie Byrnes. First, welcoming Democrat Barbara Baer. Barbara, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, Brian. It's great to be on your show. I love to call in, and I love to be able to talk to you and get to have your listeners hear my point of view.
Well, Barbara Baer, you got a big endorsement yesterday, and I was just thinking yesterday, I don't get a lot of endorsements from Schumer here at my newsroom email. Here's what he said, so that's a big thing. Barbara is just what the district needs, said Senator Schumer. She is honest and hardworking. As a member of the majority, she will be able to bring more needed jobs to the district. And the endorsement from Senator Schumer continues. Barbara has spent her career helping people. If you want someone who has the character, competence, compassion, and government experience to make your life better, then I hope you will vote for Barbara Baer. Again, that's a big thing because Schumer doesn't do that every day.
Right. Well, it's a big deal to me because he has done so much for people around the whole state, and he surely has done a lot for Cornell. His work with Amtrak to shepherd the Alstom contract, which is bringing hundreds of jobs to Cornell, is fabulous. And I think that I would respectfully work with him to bring more jobs to Cornell. By the way, I was down in Hornell just a couple of days ago, and one of the things I did pledge, mostly probably to myself, is that if I'm elected, there will be a French restaurant in Hornell.
Barbara Baer, before we went on the air, you also told me that you've picked up an endorsement from the Steuben County Democrats and Sean Hogan.
Sean's the best, and he was part of this whole negotiation, and he was there as a Democrat when he didn't have a lot of company in the local level, but he managed to get the contract, and he managed to be, for 23 years, A, honest, and B, a real advocate for Hornell in the state legislature. And I wish I had been there to help him. And I do want to say that Sean ran a bipartisan administration. John Buckley is now the mayor. If I win, when I win, I will work with John Buckley for all the people of Hornell. Hornell's on the rise, and it's a great town, and it can do better.
That's good to hear. Talking with Democrat candidate for State Assembly this morning, Barbara Baer. Barbara, you believe that being in the majority, meaning being a Democrat in the State Assembly, could make a difference.
Correct. I believe it can make a big difference, and here's the reason. If I am elected and go to Albany as part of the Democratic majority, what I can do is negotiate, advocate, and bring home grants, money, projects, because I will be able to make deals, and the deals I will make will be on behalf of the people of the district, not deals to enrich myself, which tragically, unfortunately, the two elected Republicans who were prior have done. So the district has languished because, frankly, people have gone to Albany and voted no, no, no. That doesn't get things done for our district. And I think that Western New York needs more Democrats. And I've heard the argument that the Democratic majority is controlled by downstate. Well, part of the reason it's controlled by downstate is that there aren't a lot of Western New Yorkers in the majority in the Assembly. But I can assure you, I have my own independent voice. I have my own agenda, and it's to help people, not myself. So I think I could really make a difference. I'm not going to go vote no. I'm not automatically voting yes. I'm not a robot. I'm a person who cares, who wants to help the people of our district, from Pittsford to Hornell or Hornell to Pittsford. There's a lot more that can be done for farmers, for business, for schools. We're losing population, and that's a trend across America. We can change it, but we've got to develop jobs. We've got to help millennials. We've got to move the farmers to a better position. There's just an article in the paper today that some of the dairy farmers are dumping their milk because there's overproduction. But there's really not overproduction. There's a lack of vision. There's a lack of thinking about how dairy farmers could sell their milk, where it could be sold. They can't sell it to Canada. Their prices are low. These are issues that could be addressed. And one of the things I would do if I get elected is to be asked to be on the Agricultural Committee. And as a majority member on the Agricultural Committee, I could work for Livingston and Steuben and Monroe to really get some work done for our farmers.
Talking with Democrat Assembly candidate Barbara Baer. Wanted to bring up a new Quinnipiac poll that just came out this morning. Shows that Governor Cuomo continues to have a big lead over Republican Mark Molinaro. The numbers are, 58 Cuomo, 35% for Molinaro. So Molinaro's gone up, but Cuomo still has a big lead. They don't mention Libertarian Larry Sharp, though, in that new Quinnipiac poll, at least the part that I've read about it so far on the New York Daily News rundown and explanation of the poll. Any thoughts on that poll, Barbara Baer?
Well, I think the governor has a lead that is partially due to a lot of popularity downstate. And actually, I think his numbers are actually going up upstate, but I don't believe, I think that reflects more of a downstate commitment to him. I think he's been a good governor, and I think he's done a lot for upstate. I mean, there are grants, there's development, there's jobs that have occurred because of his programs, which are frequently criticized, but let me just say that it's really hard to create jobs. And create jobs we must. So have there been some mistakes? Obviously. But there is a push to create work for people. And having a job is the most important thing that in life, I think. It's about self-esteem, supporting your family, and feeling good about yourself. It's a very, very important thing. That's number one. Number two, what I would say about polls is that they're polls. And the only poll that matters is on Election Day. And I would urge everybody, please vote. I hope you'll vote for me, but if you don't vote for me, please vote. I find it absolutely unimaginable that people say that they didn't vote. We're the greatest country in the world. We have the most opportunity. I know I certainly had opportunity. I didn't come from a wealthy family. We have incredible opportunity, and, we have to vote. Even if we vote for our children's future or whatever the reason we vote, and even if there isn't somebody that you really charismatically or totally attached to, it's very important. It's the one time on that one day that everybody has a level playing field. The head of a corporation, a millionaire, whomever, does not have more of a vote than we do. And I really hope that you will think about voting this year. That it is a civic duty.
Talking with Democrat Assembly candidate Barbara Baer here in segment one. In a few minutes, it'll be her Republican opponent, Marjorie Byrnes. Barbara Baer, the biggest issues to you in this campaign, what are they?
I think for this district, well, there's two things. One, economic development. I think that we have to diversify our economy. We have to revitalize Main Streets. We've got to get Main Street, it's coming along, but it's got to be much better so that we can keep our young people, millenniums, here. And we've got to get people to have really good jobs, high-paying jobs. I was just reading a study yesterday, for example, that solar energy workers make $25 an hour. Now, it turns out that there are not enough trained people to install solar energy panels. But you don't have to have a college degree. So one of the things we've got to do here is turn our workforce into a more trained workforce, and also we have to stop saying everybody must go to college. Some people must go to college. We have incredible colleges here, but some people need real training so that they can get good jobs. $25 an hour is about double our minimum wage, and there are more jobs in recycling and in energy, and they're growing at a rate of about 3%. So we've got to grab them for our district. That's one of the things that I would advocate for. And as I said, I think the farm industry needs some help. And then some of the things that I would really work on is health care. There's a bill in the Assembly that would basically provide health care for all. And I do think that health care is a universal right. But I'm not ready to commit to voting for this bill because it's so expensive. I do believe at the federal level that we have to have universal health care, and that anybody with a condition, a pre-existing condition, must be covered. That in this country, pre-existing conditions may not be covered is not acceptable. In addition, for everybody, the prices of drugs are too high. The manufacturers are making huge profits, 26% last year for the top 20 drugs. Unacceptable. When people go to the pharmacy, sometimes the pharmacist can't even tell the person the price of the drug as what is actually charged, as opposed to what is charged in their insurance plan. Now, if I get to Albany, I'm going to go after the pharmaceuticals. I'm going to make sure that we have some regulations, some transparency, and some ways for seniors especially, but for everybody to afford their drugs. When I wrote about this, I got answers from people that they have to choose. As a matter of fact, Randy Weaver, who is a pharmacist who ran for this office, agreed with me. When people come in, sometimes the drugs are too high for them to pay, so they don't take them.
The price is too high
in this country.
You were saying that Randy says the price is too high.
Yeah, and the people say I can't buy it, and they don't buy the drug.
Well, with that, Barbara Baer, Democrat Assembly candidate, we have to leave it. Take a quick break, go into segment 2. Barbara Baer, thank you as always for joining us.
Thanks. I hope I'll talk to you again, and it's my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Democrat Barbara Baer. Going to take a quick break, check the forecast, and the Republican candidate for Assembly for the 133rd District, Marjorie Byrnes, will be with us. Stay with us.
It's Jeep Adventure Days and Ram Power Days at Maple City Dodge. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4. Now with 0% financing for 72 months. Or lease a 2019 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4 with a V8 for $279 a month. A Ram for only $279 a month for 36 months. $2,999 due at signing. Select Jeeps and Rams only. Some restrictions and fees may apply. Get details at Maple City Dodge in Hornell.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carolyn, and it's cool out there, Rob.
Temperatures between about 30 and 35 degrees, which is a little bit below normal for this time of year, and we're not going to see a whole lot of warming. We've got quite the high pressure system building our way. Temperatures this morning off to our north of Lake Huron in the teens and low 20s, so the air headed our way is considerably chilly, and I don't think we're going to see highs stay any warmer than 45, even though we're going to enjoy partial sunshine today. Looks like the sun came up this morning at 7:27. It'll set at 6:23 tonight. We'll have clear skies overnight. Wind direction is going to start to shift. I don't think tonight is quite as cold as the last night was. Overnight lows should be 35 to 40. Now, tomorrow, wind's going to change direction. They're out of the south and southwest. High pressure moves east of the area. We start to warm up. Lots of sunshine. Some clouds show up late in the day. Milder tomorrow, 60 to 65. Tomorrow night, frontal system could produce a couple of showers. Lows will be near 45. Shower Saturday, they'll taper off and end. Breezy, 50 to 55.
Thank you very much, meteorologist Rob Carolyn. I'm Brian O'Neill on the Newsmaker Show. And in the last segment, it was Democrat Barbara Baer running for assembly, but it's so close to the election now. Couldn't do a show without having both on. If possible anyway, and it was possible today to get Republican Marjorie Byrnes on. Marjorie Byrnes, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing well, and yourself?
Very well, thank you.
Well, how are things going on the campaign trail, Marjorie Byrnes?
Actually, they've been going really good. Since the last time that we spoke, which I think was about a week ago, I've gotten endorsed by the Rochester Chamber of Commerce and an organization called Unshackle Upstate. Both of them are very pro-economic growth, pro-business, and it's fantastic. They put their trust in me to try to get a little bit of a jump start for our small businesses and small farms in this region.
Now, Unshackle Upstate, was that originally Golisano, and is he still involved with Unshackle Upstate?
I don't believe he is anymore. But it's a very, very good organization, and they definitely are interested in economic growth, working with to try to keep taxes low. So they're very pro-taxpayer. They really want businesses to thrive, especially in our region, which is obviously why it's called Unshackle Upstate.
They want businesses to thrive. That sounds great. Marjorie Byrnes, I want to ask you a question about what are people saying to you on the campaign trail? You know, somebody just asked that in a press call the other day of Congressman Tom Reed. What are people saying to you? And what he said was a lot of people are telling him they were turned off by the way that the Democrats and the mainstream media treated Brett Kavanaugh. What are you hearing on the campaign trail, Marjorie Byrnes?
I have been hearing a lot of very, very similar comments to that. They really, the people at least that I have spoken to, really do think that the processes in the hearings that went on in Washington weren't very fair. But, I've tried to steer the conversation to talking about the issues.
About state issues? What do they say on state issues, Marjorie Byrnes?
I'll tell you what, the absolute thing that seems to run through all my conversations is that people are just overwhelmed with their taxes. They're overwhelmed with the lack of a business climate, and they really want things to turn around so that they feel like they want to stay in this state. I hear too many people talking about leaving. One guy I talked to literally had his motorhome all packed up, and I asked if he was going to be staying for the primary. This was a few weeks ago, and he said, "Nope, I'm leaving, and I'm never coming back." So, there's a lot of people who are so turned off by our state, and we need these people to stay. That's our tax base. Those are the people who love our communities. We can't let them go to other places just because the climate here, and not the weather climate, the business climate and the tax climate is so bad.
I'll ask a question of you, Republican Assembly candidate Marjorie Byrnes, that I asked your Democrat opponent, Barbara Baer, in the last segment. What do you make of this new Quinnipiac poll out this morning that shows that Governor Cuomo still has a big lead, but that Mark Molinaro's numbers are increasing? And Larry Sharp, apparently, the Libertarian, was, or Howie Hawkins from the Green Party, weren't mentioned in the poll.
I'm really, really glad that a Republican candidate is starting to get some ground. I've met him. I think he's very articulate. He has some phenomenal ideas, especially about some ethics reforms in Albany. And I really have my fingers crossed that he can pull this off, because the only way that we're going to change the business climate in this state is to have a change at the top. And I'm really rooting for him, and I'll do everything I can to try to get him elected.
Republican Marjorie Byrnes, the Assembly candidate for the 133rd Assembly District, is our guest this morning. Marjorie Byrnes, what are the biggest issues to you in this campaign, November 2018 election coming up, November 6th coming up soon? What are the biggest issues to you this campaign season?
Well, there's a few of them. as I've told you before, I really, really do think we need an armed resource officer in every school. While I don't think that the state should be paying for a lot of things and passing it down, this is one. I do believe that the state should pay for an armed resource officer in every school. Not every school can afford it, and these are our children, and we need to make sure that they're protected. So I think that it's incumbent on the state to pick up the tab on this one anyway. I care an awful lot about the Second Amendment and protecting the rights of responsible gun owners. I think we've mentioned before that I'm a member at 4 sportsmen's clubs, shoot sporting clays and skeet, and too often people who are good, responsible, legal gun owners are getting caught up in a lot of circumstances that aren't of their making, and the laws, especially the SAFE Act, isn't designed to go after the bad guys who are doing things wrong. It's going after the good guys who are good citizens that we need to encourage.
Marjorie Byrnes, the Arrigo situation. How do you think that's going to affect the vote? Do you think it'll increase the amount of people who go out to vote, or maybe decrease? How do you think that's going to work out?
Actually, I'm not really sure it's going to affect it at all. After I won the primary, almost 2-1 over Mr. Arrigo, that pretty much ended his campaign. He hasn't been out that I'm aware of since then. So really at this point, I'll be on the Republican conservative line, doing my best to bring conservative values to Albany, represent our district, and my opponent, if she's elected, is just going to bring more Cuomo progressive agendas. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe I heard within the last day or two that Chuck Schumer had endorsed her.
Yes, we were just talking about that in the last segment.
Yes, I mean, we're going to get more progressive Democrat, anti-gun legislators, and this region needs somebody that will stand up for the people that are here who do care about hunting and their shooting sports and obviously other issues as well. So, I mean, there's going to be a dramatic difference between she and I, and I'm just hoping that the good citizens of our district think I'm more representative of their values and will send me to Albany.
Marjorie Byrnes, down to the last couple of minutes, was there anything I did not bring up that you wanted to talk about today?
Just letting your listeners know that we've been down into Steuben County a few times, and right now I've been working up in Monroe, knocking on doors. But starting next week, I'll be back down in Steuben County. So I hope to see a lot of people down in Nell and Arkport and Prattsburg and Wayland and Cohocton, as I get around there to the diners and to the doors. Last weekend, I had a great conversation with a Steuben dairy farmer for a long time at his farm, and got to meet a lot of his cows, and an absolutely adorable calf who I think fell in love with me. She was licking my hand so much, and I just absolutely love this district. And again, when I'm down there next week and over the next couple weeks, I can't wait to see people and talk one-on-one.
Marjorie Byrnes, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Hope we talk again before the election.
Thank you very much. AM 1480 WLEA Hornell.